Behold, Stephen King's most terrifying creation ever. Grand!
No, you're thinking of M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, yeah, right. It's better than that, I'll give him that.
That's true.
Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
And we were going to be talking today about Zombieland 2 because these are the final few days of the Post Shriek Out reaction, and typically we go back and we look at all the stuff that we end up missing in October because we were busy doing the Post Shriek Out reactions. But we also live in New York, so we are at the mercy of whatever the MTA decides to do. And we tried to go into town last weekend to see Addams Family and Zombieland, and oh my god, the trains were so busted.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea of how busted they are, there's 2 trains from our neighborhood that on the weekends still run into town. Both were shut down, and there was one alternative that didn't go where we needed to go. So we were able to make it in there for one movie, and we went, do we actually want to do this again for a second film? Or do we want to see what's playing on Netflix right now? And yes, luckily enough, there was a brand new horror film that got released to Netflix in October. And actually, after reading about this, I was intrigued enough that I kind of did want to talk about this. And the reason why is because this film, it was made by Stephen King and his son, Joe Hill. And when it comes to Stephen King and Joe Hill, I turn into that Shaq meme. Stephen King, I sleep. Joe Hill. Because Joe Hill is the guy who wrote Lock and Key, my favorite comic book of all time. And I think he's one of the most talented horror writers out there today. But I haven't seen him do any movies yet. So I was like, okay, all right, let's see what you got on this. And man, you can tell this was done by Stephen King and Joe Hill. Because there are so many moments you go, okay, I know that this was Stephen King, and that was Joe Hill, and that was Stephen King, and this is Joe Hill. Like, it doesn't blend together. I mean, it does make a cohesive story. It's not like this is an anthology almost, where it just feels like completely different people were like fighting over the camera the whole time. But you can tell different ideas from different people got put into this, and when you know Stephen King and you know Joe Hill, you can tell which idea came from who. Because Stephen King is a guy who he has written so many things that he literally will just, it's that old Family Guy joke. At least I think it was Family Guy. It's been like a decade since I saw that show, but that old joke of, all right, Stephen, what have you got for me? My latest story is all about a haunted lamb. Ooh! You're running out of ideas. Ooh! I'll give you $50 million. Still got it. That's what it is, because this is literally, like, you can tell Stephen King was driving down the road, saw a big patch of, like, 7 feet tall grass.
You could tell he was like driving through the Midwest and just saw like acres and acres of fields.
Which I've seen that before, and I've honestly, like, I've always been actually nervous to do one of those corn mazes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I've always had that thought to myself of, oh god, how would I act? Like, what would happen if I actually couldn't get out of this thing? Like, I mean, I know it's a corn maze, I could just walk right through that thing, but just like that Parks and Rec joke. We should just talk about jokes from other TV shows instead of talking about this actual thing.
It's like, but I feel like Stephen King already like did a scary story
Children
about
of the Corn.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and this has got some ties.
It does. It just feels like a Children of the Corn remake or something.
Yeah. Kind of like just took that, twisted it just a little bit.
Just a bit.
So the idea of this is that there's this brother and sister who I actually thought that they were husband and wife until like 20 minutes in this movie. They probably mentioned it early on, I just missed that one line, but that actually comes back a little bit.
Like, the sister is pregnant.
Sister's pregnant, she is 6 months pregnant, so she's got 3 months left to go. The husband is a no-show, so they are traveling to San Francisco, I think they said.
Yeah.
Because they found someone who wants to adopt the baby. But then they have to pull over for a moment, and they hear this kid out in the middle of this giant patch of grass. Just going, hey, help, I need help, I can't get out here. So they decide to go, and they're looking for him. And then all of a sudden, they can't find their way back out. And they can't find each other. And there's like a moment in which they go, okay, jump with your hands up. And then they jump and they see, it's like, okay, you're not far away. Let's just do that again. And they jump, and now he's way further away.
Yeah.
And that's when they discover something is in this grass that won't let them leave. It is altering their sense of direction.
Yeah.
It is moving them around.
It's like alternating reality and
Basically, and time.
and time, which we find out later on.
Yeah, we do find out that that's become like the fresh new thing. It used to be, oh, we're trapped in here and I can't get out. Now it's we're trapped in here and time is moving differently. Like, ever since the Blair Witch did that, I've noticed that in a lot more things. But they eventually end up running into this kid, and they end up running into his parents. But the kid is kind of weird and ominous, and it's kind of like, no, I'll show you the way out. Just follow me. And he's like covered in dirt, and there's a dead dog in there. They don't know how that got in there. But then, what's her face ends up getting attacked, and she dies. Like the sister, the pregnant sister, she ends up getting attacked and dies. Then it cuts ahead by 2 months. And now we see the father, her boyfriend, is now driving around and he's going up to gas stations looking for them because they went missing. And he eventually finds their car outside this church, and the church is called like the Church of the Black Rock.
Black Rock and Redemption.
Black Rock and Redemption, that's it. Well, it actually comes back around too. But he's looking in there, and the church is completely empty, but he finds their car outside, and the car is covered in dust. She was eating a burger when they stopped the car. And
No, he was eating the burger. She was not.
No, she wasn't. She puked it up.
I thought she got motion sickness.
She was eating, and she got motion sickness, yes. Anyway, not important. There's a burger in the car, and it's now got maggots on it, so you can tell time has passed. And then he starts hearing the little kid in there calling out to him again. He goes, okay, I'm coming in. And he goes in there looking for him. And then he can't find his way out. And then he starts calling out. And then he hears the little kid. But then you see it's the little kid now clean, like he's not covered in dirt or anything. He's clean, he's outside, and he's got his parents and goes, Mommy, I hear someone inside there. So they have to then they go inside. And it's revealed this movie, I'm going to say this right now. This movie gave me such a headache and actually started to give me like weird vertigo thinking about how much it twists around and everything. Just describing this, I was like, oh God, I just got lightheaded there for a second. I just, ooh, and it's about to get worse.
Like, at first I thought like the little kid was like part of the field, like he was there to like lure people in so like the field would eat them.
Yeah, I absolutely got that feeling from him in the beginning. But now it's revealed, no, it's a weird twisting time thing.
Yeah.
And in the middle of all this is this big black rock that's got etchings on it. And we had seen this earlier in the film, but now we see the dad end up touching this thing, and he has something come over him. And then you see him going in there, and now they end up running into the sister and the brother trapped in there. But earlier the boyfriend had already found the wife dead.
Can we call them by their name so people don't really get confused?
Yes, please. Whenever I'm calling someone by description and you know the name, tell me the name.
Okay, so the pregnant lady, I think her name was Becky. The little boy, his name was Tobias.
Yes.
Her brother's name was Cal.
Wait, I thought the little boy was Nathan.
No, it's Tobias.
All right, sure.
And the ex-boyfriend, his name was Travis.
Yes, that one is definitely true.
And the husband's the father of Tobias, his name was Ross.
Yes.
They also have Tobias also has a mom, but they don't really.
She's not in here.
She's not really much in there, so you don't have to worry about her.
Yes. But there's like weird rules inside of here. Like if something dies, you can't move it. Not that you can't move it, but the field can't. The field can't move because the field can move any living thing around inside of itself. It can't move dead things. So they actually do some clever stuff with there, where like they find the dead dog. And like there's a turnaround where they found the dead dog earlier. Then after Tobias comes in there and he goes in there chasing after the dog, he then finds his dog dead and he's now crying out. And then Travis none of them can find each other, but Travis is calling out to his girlfriend and her brother saying, okay, keep talking, move towards the kid, because since the kid is that dead thing, he's in a fixed location, so they could actually find him there. Like there's that rule, and another rule is once you go in, there's no way you can get out unless you touch the rock. Kind of. Not really. Not quite. When you touch the rock, you see the map.
Yes.
You see how it's all laid out.
Yeah.
There is a way to escape, but it is a huge teleporting labyrinth.
Yes.
You go through one patch of grass, you'll come out over here. You go through this patch of grass, you come out over here. You move through here, here, here.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes, but it is established later on when you see the dog alive again, because remember, time is moving around here. You see the dog go through one tiny little patch of grass, and now he's out on the road again. The dog found the way. Which that's not how they end up getting out here, unfortunately, because everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is established, like, there are ways to, like, get to a place. And also, if you can keep your eye on, like, a fixed location, then it can't move you around. Which that's kind of a weird thing, that it can teleport you, but there's also teleportation points within itself. So there's like a conscious thing moving you, but there's an also unconscious thing that's moving you. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where don't think about it too much.
Yeah. A whole bunch of weird shit goes on.
Yes. So this is kind of like an interesting setup at this point, because you've got now, we're seeing now characters who we had seen earlier, but we're kind of seeing how they got to the point that they're at earlier. But then there's some moments in which they'll bring something up, but we don't actually see the payoff to that. Like, there's a moment early on in which they're trying to, like, when the brother and sister first go in there, they're trying to find each other. So he's like, all right, Becky, keep talking. And she starts reciting this, like, dirty nursery rhyme.
Yeah, like, there once was a man from Nantucket, basically that.
Kind of like that. But it's more specific. Like, it's one that, like, I've never even heard of. It's, like, a very specific one. But then there's that moment when Tobias is crying and he's trying to, he's at the dog, and like, all right, just start talking so he can come to you, and he starts reciting that same thing, and it feels like there's going to be like some kind of a loop thing where he ended up learning that from hearing them earlier, but that never really comes up. Like, maybe it did, they didn't say, because that's the other thing, there's kind of a cheat in how weird this is, because it's so weird, you could kind of say like, well, it all kind of fits, because they eventually, at one point, the dad, he touched the rock and he goes nuts. And he's like, we must all do this for the rock. We must all become part of the rock. Yes. He's trying to hunt them down to make them come back and touch the rock so they can become one with all this. There's a moment in which the brother is running from the dad, and the dad is chasing him, and the dad like takes a left as the brother keeps running straight. And then all of a sudden the dad comes out like right there to like, because the dad now knows the map. He can touch the rock. Sorry. But then as he's got him down there, he goes, okay, you thought about going left, but then you thought about going right. But you decided to go straight. And you think, oh, if only I had gone left, he wouldn't have caught me. Or if only I had gone right, he wouldn't have caught me. Don't worry. All paths lead back to this moment. And then the brother looks around and he's surrounded by corpses of himself.
Yeah.
That's a really good freaky moment in there, but it's this moment in which they say, yes, every decision you could possibly make has been made here already within this field, and I've already killed all of you. And they're trying to say that like every choice and every decision is causing an alternate you within the field, but they don't really play with that all that much. It's a cool idea, but they don't really play with all that much. But
and then they kind of introduced a new idea, like when Travis and Becky and Cal, like they all like team up in the middle, and like Tobias, he goes on Travis's shoulders and they start marching towards like the bowling alley. And then, like, on the way, like, Becky, she starts, like, getting the hallucinations.
She starts having, like, some kind of, like, a weird attack. And you're seeing, like, images of, like, the grass going into her womb and attacking the baby.
And, like, these grass people or stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, is that really an illusion or is that, like, an actual thing? And
yes, there is that element in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that get introduced in here, but there's so many crazy things to this that, like, you won't look at it and go, well, they just kept forgetting about this stuff. But then at the same time, you're looking at it and going, well, maybe they didn't. Maybe it all does kind of apply to each other. Like, it kind of fits that weird tone where you can't critique it too much because it's so bizarre that maybe it all works together.
Yeah, maybe.
Sure. Maybe, yeah.
But it's like, I also feel like they added a lot, and it's hard to, like, put all those pieces together.
It's a super, like, it actually makes my head hurt thinking about some of the stuff in here. It actually, like, I'm starting to get, like, dizzy, just like, this thing, like, just numbers and equations in front of my face. So, the film actually is kind of scary, I'll give it that. Like, it actually did kind of freak me out. And I'll just say, between this and The Void last week, this has been the most, between this, The Void last week, and our review of Uzumaki the week before that, this has been the most puke-inducing Thorgiween we have ever had. Like, throw in the fact that I also had surgery on my stomach also makes this even worse. So yeah, this has been a rough Thorgiween to watch some of these things, but yeah, there's moments in here that it gets really just, and like there's a moment in there in which they find the big rock, and now the thing about this is that they're supposedly in there for months and months on end. Because when she gets in there, she's 3 months until she gives labor, and you see her getting bigger in there. So you know time is progressing as they go through this. And then there's the moment in which like she actually has to give birth, and like the earth opens up, and you just see the walls are covered in people trying to reach.
Like the dirt inside, like
it's just people trying to escape. Like it looks like a Dante's Inferno kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they're gonna sacrifice her baby to this weird grass cult, and it's like.
And there's something else that happens, and I'm not even gonna talk about because I seriously thought I was gonna throw up at that scene. But now let's get into the stuff where I'm like, okay, this is when you can tell it's Stephen King. This is when you can tell it's Joe Hill. Grass is the enemy, Stephen King. The person who goes insane is the most yuppie douchebag you've ever seen. That's Stephen King. Trying to think of other things in here. The whole like big black rock in the center and some ominous thing portal to another dimension. That's Joe Hill. So as I said, you can go like this Stephen King, that Joe Hill, this Stephen King, that Joe Hill, like the big thing opening up and just like, oh my God, there's this weird body horror thing in the ground. That's Joe Hill. Like all the stuff I felt with the rock in the middle, I felt like that was Joe Hill. But then you get into like it's tying into a church that's built on the side. Like, all right, that's maybe Stephen King in there as well. Also, the dad who goes crazy is a Christian and talks about his past with like the church that he was with. I was like, that's Stephen King, because Stephen King is not a fan of organized religion. Yeah, it's interesting. When you know these two people's writing styles and the two things that they love, and the two things that they always check off, it's a fascinating film to watch when you can kind of go like, this was this guy, this was this guy. Like you can just kind of like pick and choose every single thing in here that goes, okay, it's that.
I have like one critique, like in the beginning, is like how they just randomly walk into the tall grass just to find some kid. It's like, you don't go in by yourself, you'll get lost too.
I would have been very, but then again, it's like, it's a little kid.
I guess, but it's like, I would have like played Marco Polo with him.
That's what I would have done too, is gone, you can hear a voice come towards the voice.
Yeah.
There's some really good sound editing here, by the way, too, because there's moments in which they're supposed to be hearing voices coming from different directions, and yeah, they were able to accomplish that very well in here, I thought. Yeah, I really thought they did a great job with that. So yeah, this film, it's a little bit too weird for its own good, but I feel like if it was any less weird, I'd have more critiques, because this film definitely has problems. But it's one of those things where it just gets to a point where it's so goofy that you're kind of like, all right, I don't care about this anymore. But then it'll get so dark with how goofy it is. Oh, geez, Peach, you're too squirmy.
Yeah.
Where it gets like so dark with that goofiness that you're also kind of like, oh, okay, I don't know. I kind of want to critique this, but I kind of can't because it's really disturbing at this moment. But also, I can flat out critique some of the Stephen King things in here. Because, like, you know, the enemy in here, he's so Stephen King. We've seen him in so many other Stephen King things. But he is still a little bit creepy with just the fact that you have this guy who's just smiling like, come on back, it's gonna be great. He's like chasing you down, but he's got this like good-natured attitude about, it's actually kind of creepy and says that's not bad. This entire film is basically that. This entire film is, it's not bad. It's, you know, nothing knocks it out of the park though. But you can tell it's such a big idea with what they were doing here that it really wants to knock it out of the park. I mean, everything wants to knock it out of the park. Everything wants to be amazing, but you can tell they are reaching far in this thing, and they never quite hit it, but they're able to achieve something with it, I felt. I'm going to give this one like a 6.5.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, either that or like 6 or 7, so I guess 6.5.
6.5 right in the middle, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's weird, but like, not really weird bad or weird good.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yes, it is.
And I will take a fascinating film any day of the week.
Yes, I'd rather watch a fascinating film than a boring one.
I'd rather watch something that I can talk about.
Yes.
Go back and see our review of Doom Annihilation 2 days ago if you want to talk about that. But yeah, that is it. Sorry that we didn't get to do Zombieland 2. We've got one more day in Thorgiween. I cannot believe we are almost done. Come back tomorrow for the finale to the Post Shriek Out reaction. Bye everyone, and happy Halloween.
Bye.